Today, the latest on Afghanistan. The new Texas abortion law takes effect after SCOTUS refuses to rule on it. And the CDC says if you are unvaccinated, you should stay home this Labor Day weekend. We have got a lot coming up today, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Today joined by head researcher of the Glenn Beck program, Jason Buttrill himself. Also, political commentator John Doyle, who you can find at heckoffcommie.com.
Thank you for that warm introduction.
Yeah, did you like heckoffcommie? I can't say it normal. I have to say it's stupid. I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. All right, let's get to, there's a lot of headlines to get into. And I know probably the audience is a little Afghanistan out. So I want to kind of roll through the latest on this, just kind of the new developments since yesterday, starting with the president's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, who has been hit hard, rightfully so, I think, for some of the comments that he has been making in the media. I believe it was yesterday, he said something to the effect of, we might be sending the Taliban foreign aid. Did you hear that one, Jason?
Yeah.
That's an accurate recollection of what he said, right?
Yep.
Okay. So he's, just saying these bonkers off the wall things about the Taliban. He was asked earlier today by MSNBC if he would call the Taliban the enemy of the U.S., but that's a complicated question. It's hard to put a label on it, he says. Watch.
What is the Taliban? Are they now our frenemy? Are they our adversary? Are they our enemy? What are they?
A terrorist group.
Well, it's hard to put a label on it, in part because we have yet to see what they are going to be now that they are in physical control of Afghanistan.
Wait, did she just use the word frenemy?
Yes, she did. I was thinking the same. I was like, that's a case against women in politics right there. Like, she would use the word frenemy.
Certainly a case against MSNBC and ever watching it. Frenemy, give me a break. Meanwhile, so you have the National Security Advisor answering questions that way. And meanwhile, I would also just like to point out that Taliban fighters are upset because they feel betrayed that the U.S. military left non-working helicopters. That is so rude of the United States military to leave those non-working helicopters for them. So, Jason, you want to field this one first here? What is so hard about saying the Taliban is a terrorist organization? And by the way, I don't think the Taliban would mince any words if they were asked if they were the enemy of the United States and the Western world.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous question even to start off on. How do what do we call them? Well, we call them a terrorist group. It's different. It's difficult to put a label on them. No, it's not really. They're a terrorist group. The Afghanistan, or the Al-Qaeda, one of the Al-Qaeda's main commanders just arrived from Pakistan back into Afghanistan, just drove in, received a full-on, basically standing ovation as he drove into Kabul. That's what you got there. You got a terrorist group, and they're going to move right back into training or helping other terrorist groups train on their land. That's the reality. What they're setting up for is, with all this word jujitsu on the Taliban, is they're going to try to attempt the same foreign policy that they did with Iran, which is they're the OGs of a terrorist group taking over a country.
Yeah.
So the same thing has happened to Afghanistan. So what they're going to do is they're going to pull a little magic trick. And they're going to say, remember how we worked with the moderates over in Iran? We're going to work with the moderates in the Taliban, as if there's hilariously such a thing. There wasn't such a thing in Iran then in their politics. There's not such a thing in the Taliban. But that's what they're going to say. So this, like what you talked about, the humanitarian aid is going to be ransom money. basically. It's, oh yeah, we know that trust me, there's a lot more than just 300 Americans stuck in Afghanistan. What we're looking at is well over 1,000, probably maybe even thousands, if you count in green card holders and all that. But they're going to use them basically as hostages, is what they're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw pallets of cash, again, show up at the Kabul airport. The exact same thing from the exact same people that brought you Libya and then brought you the ridiculous Iran deal. That's what they're steering towards.
How emblematic, too, is it of this administration to where Joe Biden can't field any questions about Afghanistan, so then they send this guy out, and then he still can't even answer any questions. Like, they can't find anybody in the administration to actually answer a question competently about this.
Yeah, laugh so you don't cry, I guess, because of all the people. Well, here's the thing, John. The military members, the top-ranking officials, were very, very busy reading about white rage.
Right.
So they didn't have time to be briefed on any of this.
I tell you what, I mean, if I was the kind of guy that would put on a tinfoil hat and weave some conspiracy theories, okay, I am
Which
kind
you
of that guy. You almost would think that they did this on purpose. You know what I mean? It's like, did you read that?
Legitimately.
Did you read the kind of the play-by-play in the Washington Post? It was insane. It was entitled "The Days Before Taliban, Kabul Fell," or something like that.
The one where the Taliban basically asked the United States if they wanted
control Kabul.
Yeah, and they were like, "Nah,
we just need the airport."
Yeah.
And then so the head of CENTCOM is like, it's all we need. Signed off on it. This is a general with decades of experience. Like, he knows what's going to happen, right? The chairman of the Joint Chiefs is like, we're just going to keep 1,000 people there. So we're just going to abandon Bagram Air Base in the middle of the night. Okay, I mean, that is the most strategic location in that area. It's just north of Kabul. You would not do that. No military person in their right mind who is not thinking along some other lines, politics, would even do that. So you got to wonder, I mean, knowing the chaos is going to happen, knowing everyone's attention, even like us, like me, like all of our attention is diverted there. What is happening over here that we're missing? I don't know. It just makes you wonder.
That's a conspiracy theory, though.
That's a conspiracy theory.
That's a good one, too.
The lack of planning seems to be the planning. I think there's also something almost inherently right-wing about conspiracy theories, because we are so targeted in this country and we lack substantive political representation that we can almost only conceptualize things in terms of people conspiring together to take back power. Whereas the left blames everything on systemic issues. If you ask a left-wing person for a conspiracy theory, they'll just say that Nazis are still running the country. It's has no basis in anything. Whereas something like that, you can just read publicly available information and be like, no, this is actually happening. They're like, no, it's a conspiracy theory. So everything that they complain about is always systemic oppression, systemic racism, because they control the system. And so just we can only conceptualize things in terms of dissenting people conspiring. They can only conceptualize things in terms of systemic force because they control the system.
Well, so how is this for ironic and not in a cute way when it comes to Afghanistan? An Afghan interpreter who was involved in a 2008 rescue effort after a helicopter carrying then Senator Joe Biden, of all people, and two other lawmakers made an emergency landing amid a snowstorm, is now stranded in Afghanistan. He said to a media outlet, "Hello, Mr. President, save me and my family. Don't forget me here." This is him, his wife, and his children. They are currently hiding from the Taliban, which again is weird because I have been told by the United States intelligence community that the Taliban is really, they've decided to be more inclusive now. They care about basic human rights. And they are definitely going to be the new and improved Taliban, and not the Taliban who is going to kill. Well, no, that's still them. Sorry.
Yeah. We're going to be talking to Tim Kennedy tonight on Glenn's show, and I was listening to him talk just about an hour ago, and he was talking about how the Taliban was searching in Kabul for interpreters and even cutting the tongues out of the interpreters that helped the United States. That's what they're looking at. And he was telling some crazy stories, and he was like, and he'll tell some of those tonight. But he was like, this is the G version of what's going on, so there's a lot worse. That's what I'm saying. None of this makes military sense. And I was in the military, I was in Afghanistan on a very low level, not on even a high level. But even on my level, I knew that this is not how things work out. I mean, And I think that's the majority of what I think how conservatives feel about Afghanistan. The majority of us agreed that we should get out of Afghanistan. We need to end the 20-year war. We're done. Let's pull out. Something else needs to be done on Afghanistan. This shouldn't be our problem anymore. The problem we're having is how it was done.
Right.
So in a normal evacuation, that guy that you just talked about, that interpreter, would have already been out.
Yeah.
He would have been out. All the other people that would have helped, there would have been a program. This would have lasted for, I don't know how long. It would have lasted
however long it needed to.
However long it needed to. There would have been no deadline, really. And even if they did declare a deadline, then the mission, and that's how it works in the military, is your deadline doesn't dictate your mission.
Right.
The mission dictates the deadline. Whatever you need to do, then you adjust that as needed.
Yeah.
But this evacuation crisis didn't have to happen. That's our issue right now.
Yeah.
Is the way it was handled. Tonight on his show again, we're going to run down the people that need to resign. Head of CENTCOM, Lloyd Austin, General Milley. You guys need to resign. Remember General Mattis? He resigned when he didn't agree with how Trump pulled out of Syria.
Yeah.
Right? So however you feel with General Mattis, at least give him that. He resigned because he did not agree with how it went down. These guys should do the same thing.
Yeah.
Unless politics is completely driving their motivations right now.
So, John, to Jason's point, I don't know if you watched the president speak yesterday. I, generally speaking, try not to do that, but I do host a news program, so I have to watch some of it, right? But a lot of it felt very gaslighty because he was standing there and it was like he was yelling at everyone, explaining to them that I don't want any of your sons and daughters to have to go through all of this again. And it's like, yeah, we all agree on that part. No, I don't think that part is in dispute. And he's over here arguing with the wall, seemingly, about something that it's like no one. It's like the George Floyd thing. It's like, yeah, no, we all agreed that was horrible and it shouldn't have happened. Why are you continuing to argue a point that no one else is arguing?
Sometimes people with dementia get aggressive when they're overwhelmed. Like my Nana used to be this way too, but she was never asked like, hey, you know that guy who risked his life to rescue you? Well, he needs you to help him out. And he's just gonna be like, sorry, Jack. Like, and you're just done. You're just gonna, I don't wanna say die, but like, it's not gonna be too good for that guy unless we step in and pay our end of that implicit agreement.
I was waiting for him to yell, "Get off my lawn."
It really didn't.
It
It was very angry old man yelling at the clouds.
Yeah.
It was very, very bizarre.
And the way he keeps invoking Bo, I don't understand this. So I've got a theory on that.
Yeah, please do, because I was going to ask you about that.
So my theory on that is, and he's bringing this up to, like Gold Star families.
Yes.
And so I think it's like method acting. I really do.
Really?
So he's got this. They say his superpower is empathy, and he can instantly connect with people. So I think he literally, like a method actor, brings some kind of past experience for him, and he draws upon that. So of course that's sad, and we're not arguing that. That is very, very sad and tragic what happened to Bo. But he did have cancer, right? The way that everyone else, if you just listen to how he talks about Bo Biden, you would think that he died in an IED attack in Afghanistan.
But that's what I'm wondering is it method acting, or does this man genuinely not remember the details of his own son's death? And I don't even say that. I mean, I say that like, it not like sort of a joke, but also not really, because I'm wondering, with these people, the way that they are, and they're such pathological liars, you tell a lie enough times, and it's sometimes I think they forget that they're actually telling the lie. So I'm just wondering if he's making this connection so many times with people, and he's retelling all of these things about Bo for so long that he genuinely forgets, like, oh crap, my son didn't actually die in combat.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a record of this. Like back in the day, he was always lying about his education background. He's top of the class at whatever Ivy League school or whatever. People looked into it and it was all bullcrap. Yeah. But he continued to tell that lie.
Yeah. All right, before we have to go to break, let me bring up one more thing. This was the Pentagon denied viral reports that the U.S. military had abandoned dogs in Afghanistan after the end of the evacuation mission. I know there's been a lot of confusion on social media that there were all of these working dogs that the military actually left behind. Now, I would also like to point out that I believe in their, I don't see it on here, but I believe in their explanation, they said, please, we spent way too much money on these military dogs to have left them behind. And it's like, well, what about the $85 billion of military equipment you guys had absolutely no problem leaving behind? That was a little bit of money too, just saying. So that was a really weird explanation of why they wouldn't have left it behind. But there are all of these erroneous reports that there are working dogs that are still at the military. There was even one organization that claimed that Glenn himself committed money and then decommitted it, which
Total
was
lie.
absolutely not true.
Total lie.
So do we know, I mean, there are working dogs still there, right? I mean, do we trust the military, the Pentagon saying, no, there's no working dogs still there?
No, I don't think you can trust the military on anything at this point.
Yeah.
Well, the leadership. You can't trust the leadership on anything for sure.
Right. John?
It was rough seeing, like, on Facebook, that was the story that everybody shared. Like, they were quiet, and then the second the dogs were invoked, they're
Right.
like, we have to do something. And it's like,
Yeah.
these are the same people that, like, cry when a dog dies in a movie. Like, there'll be, like, a village of orphans or something that gets slaughtered, but then the puppy doesn't make it out, and they start crying. It's like, where are your
that's
I
priorities?
have a feeling you're one of those people.
First of all, I feel attacked right now. But second of all, that got me about when people, the organization shared that Glenn had, he committed this money and then decommitted it. And there were so many people who were like, Glenn Beck, that bastard. I'm like, he just raised like $30 million to rescue all of these people. And you think that he did the dogs wrong and now he's a horrible person? What is wrong with you people? Anyway, I just don't want to get fired, so I figure I better stick up for my boss. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So I don't know how much equity you have in your home. Maybe it's $50,000, $100,000. More than that, if you are working on building your retirement nest egg. But cybercrime experts are alerting homeowners that the more equity you have, actually, the greater the chance that foreign and domestic criminals will come after you through home title theft. It is one of the fastest growing crimes in America. In fact, Home Title Lock, America's leader in home title protection, is alerting homeowners right now they could be a victim already and not know it. That is the scariest part. So cyber thieves actually search a bunch of public databases for high equity homes, and then they pull your home's online title. They'll forge your signature stating you sold your home to them, and they can take out loans using your equity. By the way, it's not covered by any insurance, banking programs, common identity theft programs. Those don't cover this from happening. All right, Home Title Lock does. Protect your most valuable asset. Register your address over at Home Title Lock to see if you're already a victim, and you will receive a complete title history of your home that is $100 value for free if you go to HometitleLock.com. I'm telling you guys, you do not want to be caught with this happening to you. You got to go register your address over at HometitleLock.com. The left is going absolutely bonkers crazy after a Texas law which could effectively ban most abortions after 6 weeks went into effect this morning after both the Supreme Court and a lower federal court of appeals refused to rule on a demand from Texas abortion providers to stay the law pending further litigation. So I think, isn't this it's the most strict law in the country now in effect?
The heartbeat bill, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 weeks. And the left is, just like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to die. I can't believe, I saw Cori Bush tweet out something along the lines of like, my heart today is with the members of the black brown community. She's queer for some reason because I guess queer people get abortions. I'm not quite sure how the science works out on that particular one.
That's not even the weirdest thing they do. But, yeah.
But just making this into. It felt a lot like when Kavanaugh got nominated to the Supreme Court, and they were just like, the women are going to be dying in the streets now. And so here we go again. But it is interesting that the Supreme Court refused to rule on this. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Speaking of conspiracy theorists.
I have a good take on that,
Please.
Actually. Yeah,
Do you?
I can say this. Well, I do, but
well, you paused like you're like, wait, I don't. Maybe.
Well, because it went, and I was like, I can say this, and I was like, wait, can I say this? I think I can say this.
Okay.
Because that's always
then
the
you
point.
definitely need to say it now.
Is like, well, if we ban safe, legal abortions, then women are going to be getting back alley abortions, and they're going to die. If someone breaks into my house and points a gun at me and like threatens my life. If you're going to threaten the life of somebody else and you lose yours in the process, I'm not losing sleep over that. Like, well, shouldn't have killed it then. I don't know. That's my opinion.
I like it.
Right?
I like that take.
It's dark.
It is dark.
But it's good.
It's very John Doyle. Jason.
I don't know why the Supreme Court didn't rule on it. I know it's weird because it involves like people can sue people that go
civil penalties.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not. This would be one day to have a lawyer here to kind of go in the ins and outs of that. But I'm just guessing that might have something to do with it. But a couple things that Cori Bush talking about this and then saying how it's going to be bad for the Black and brown communities. The sheer ignorance and lack of history on the eugenicists that were pushing abortion in the beginning and why they were doing it to thin out those minority groups.
Right.
It's been tragic for the Black, brown, I don't know about the queer community, but at least minority communities, it's been tragic for them because where do you find most of the abortion clinics? In their neighborhoods. Overwhelmingly, their babies are getting killed at a higher rate than any other ethnic group.
Yeah, it seems like if you cared about the Black and brown communities, you would probably want them to have more babies and more representation.
Right, and this is, just the moral depravity of this country is on display right now, and the anger and just the craziness towards Texas because of this.
Yeah.
You're so pissed off, you're so freaked out because we don't want babies to be murdered. And you know me, I'm as radical as it gets on being anti-abortion as it is. For me, it's a simple question: is it is a human being or is it not? If it's a human being, then it's murder if you do the abortion. I don't see any way to look at it otherwise.
Yeah.
So good on you, Texas, and I hope this gets replicated across the country.
And to Jason's point, this says the law allows private citizens anywhere in the country to bring civil suits against anyone who assists a pregnant person seeking an abortion in violation of the ban. So the patient cannot be sued, but doctors, staff members at clinics, counselors, people who help pay for the procedure.
If you drive
even
someone.
An Uber driver. Can be held, can be taken to court, and taking a patient to an abortion clinic. All are potential defendants. So it will be very, very, again, I'm shocked.
What a great day. I remember in May of 2019, there was, I think something happened where everyone was flipping out about, abortion rights. And I remember just driving to the coffee shop and I was blasting Mr. Blue Sky. And it was just such a great day because all the worst people in the world were crying, oh, I can't kill a baby anymore. It's like their ultimate, I think Matt Walsh had this in his first book, Blaze alumnus Matt Walsh, that's, abortion is really the ultimate sacrament of liberalism because liberalism seeks to isolate this hyper autonomous individual who can do whatever they want, and the conclusion of that would be the ability to liberate myself from biology and reproduction. I can kíll this thing if it's inconvenient to me. Very scary stuff. It's Satanism.
It really is, and it's just been so wild to watch. Hillary Clinton called this one of our darkest days. Elizabeth Warren, and they all use those same terms, reproductive rights. And it is fascinating to me also to listen to, particularly those two women talk about, they keep saying our, right? Elizabeth Warren was our reproductive rights are at risk. And I'm like, sweetheart, I don't think that you have had the ability to have a baby for a very long time now. So I'm not quite sure that I would be involving our as my general sentence.
Does she have kids?
Yes, they all do. That's
what
is so weird to me is that I might understand if it was the members of the left who had not yet gone through having children. But I don't for the life of me understand as a woman going through having children, listening to the heartbeat, seeing the baby on the ultrasound, and then being absolutely you should be able to kill it until the moment of birth.
I've always noticed too at these pro-choice demonstrations, there's always these very interesting looking women who are the most vocal about their, it's are you really,
You're not getting laid.
Yeah.
That's what John's trying to say.
I feel it's kind of this, these are the same women that always complain about catcalling, and it's their way of trying to say, men like me.
Yeah.
I'm in these, it's just no.
Sweetheart, you're not getting catcalled.
This isn't
we
about
already know
you.
that.
Don't get me wrong, it's terrible that you have these opinions, but don't lie too.
Jason, last word.
I think we've been losing this battle for the longest time, ever
yes.
since Roe v. Wade. But and the medical profession has also had their hand in it, and activists have seized on it. It's just stupid to me. I remember being in grade school or whatever, and sex ed class, and they're talking about the different phases. They got a different name for the baby, for the fetus, for the zygote, for all this stuff. And I'm like, is it a human being or not?
Right.
Even as a kid, I'm like, why are we classifying as if it's well, I don't know. It's a zygote now, but it could be a piano upon birth. It's a freaking human being. And it's alive.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a different stage of growth.
Right.
I mean,
right.
It's lunacy to me. I don't get it.
And by the way, its own separate set of DNA for all the people who are like, I have a right to choose what happens to my body. It's just that it's not your body anymore. Sorry.
Yep.
Not sorry. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Omega XL. So if you are living in constant pain, maybe you have back pain, knee pain, neck pain, whatever the case may be, what you might not realize is that it's probably inflammation that is causing your pain. And unless you defeat the inflammation, you're going to keep having that pain, and it can even cause permanent damage. Now, Omega XL is backed by 35 years of clinical research. That is a lot of years. It attacks the inflammation that is causing your pain. It's an essential fatty acid combination from the waters of New Zealand, which for some of you, you're going like, oh, that's natural. I'm not going to take that. All right, but it works. And let me tell you this, it works way better than those topical rubs that you can rub on the spot that hurts. And maybe it feels good for 10 minutes, and then you're in pain again. All right, Omega XL is not going to work that way. It is going to neutralize that inflammation that causes your painful, stiff joints and muscles. I'm telling you, if you are in pain, you don't realize how life-changing it could be for you to get out of pain. You've got to try Omega XL. I have used it. It's worked wonders for me. Pat Gray has used it. It's worked for him as well. You got to try it. Go to omegaxl.com/news. If you get a bottle now, you will get a second bottle for free at omegaxl.com/news. The CDC is now asking unvaccinated Americans, which, by the way, I think there's like nearly 80 million of them, so not a small number. They are asking unvaccinated Americans to stay home for Labor Day weekend. Look, you may think that you live in America, and you may think that you have certain freedoms that come with living in America, but the CDC is here to tell you, no. Those freedoms are only contingent upon your vaccination status now, you guys. Get with the program. It's 2021. Here is the lovely Rochelle Walensky asking Americans to stay home this holiday weekend. Watch.
We have actually articulated that people who are fully vaccinated and who are wearing masks can travel, although given where we are with disease transmission right now, we would say that people need to take these risks into their own consideration as they think about traveling. First and foremost, if you are unvaccinated, we would recommend not traveling.
It's just that, well, there's just these pesky facts that have shown us, all of these studies, that if you are fully vaccinated, you can not only still get the virus, but you can also still transmit the virus to people.
Yeah.
So why are they not saying everyone should stay home? Fully vaccinated people should stay home, because they're the ones, actually, I would like to just make the case, they're the ones who really are more dangerous, because they won't know that they have it and they won't know that they're spreading it because they have been vaccinated. This is what they tell us, right? That they'll either be asymptomatic, or they will be the symptoms will be so mild it will be way better than if you were completely unvaccinated. I just need someone to make it make sense for me, please. Anyone?
Not gonna help you to make sense.
I just need it to make sense so my head doesn't freaking explode every time I listen to this garbage.
It's all like when a baby is at their high chair and they spill their SpaghettiOs and they move them in the shape of like a dinosaur, and they show you and they're like, look what I did. It looks like something. You're like, it's still just nothing. Like it doesn't make sense just because you tried to make it make sense. And that's like all this is. And that's why this weekend, I don't know what your guys' plans are, but we rented a lake house about 2 hours south of here. I invited 15 people, not only from all over the country. We're referring to it very humbly as the White Boy Summer Super Spreader Weekend Retreat in Jamboree. And we're just going to have a great time, specifically to spite people like that. I feel like it's our patriotic duty, not just to have a cookout, to have, what do they call it when you like a block party, totally,
Yeah.
like in the neighborhood, just to make a huge deal out of it, just to spite people like that.
I would.
I was going to say the same thing because I was like, that used to be all of America's response right there. Like that was the easiest way to get people to do something.
Screw you.
Yeah, tell them they can't do something.
Yeah.
You're still going to have a vast amount of people that are okay. Now I personally, when I heard her talking, I just had this sudden urge to take a trip. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
now I'm taking a trip.
Well, just like when Joe Biden said, like, well, you might be able to celebrate your freedom on July 4th. We'll see.
Ridiculous.
And it's like, excuse me. There were some founding fathers who would disagree with you, sir.
Oh yeah, but you made the point that I was going to make actually. The vaccines, you have the same viral load in someone that's vaccinated.
Yep.
They know this.
Yep.
They're the CDC.
Yeah.
They know
They're the
this.
ones who have been telling us this.
Right. So why does it make a difference? Because it's not about contracting the disease or vaccinating or anything. It's not about that. It's all about control. It's the same thing about masks. That's what it's really about. How far they can push you, what they can tell you to do. And that's the same, I almost said a bad word there. That's the same chick that also did an end around the Constitution, end around Congress, and put the moratorium on evictions.
Yes.
Like, you're the CDC.
Yeah.
You have no authority to do that, but they're doing it anyway. See? The stuff that's happening at home when we're concentrated on looking elsewhere. Tinfoil hat.
The country
That's a
that's the
great point.
most vaccinated right now, I think, is Israel, and they're also having like a huge outbreak.
Yes.
And
yes.
like these
and they're not
people-
the only ones who have that data.
Yeah, I've personally given up on trying to argue facts with these people. Like, my evening entertainment now has been going on Nextdoor, Nextdoor.com,
Yes.
and I just start fights with my neighbors. But I won't even, because like someone will say something like about, oh, I'm making homemade masks again, and I'm leaving them on my tree outside. Come get one if you want. Little cloth things, and this one has flowers. This one has ducks on, and people are like, oh, this is gonna protect me. And so some guy made a comment just like, people are still wearing these, not even aggressive, just like, what's up? And people just jumped on him, just like, oh, if you don't have anything intelligent to say, just shut your mouth. So
Did you white knight him? You totally.
I just responded. I was like, you guys are slaves. You don't even know.
Well, I also would just like to point out, John, you said that you invited like 15 people. I didn't. Did you get an invitation? I must have lost
I got
it in the
nothing.
mail.
You know what?
Nothing,
I think that your invitation got lost in the mail with the invitation you sent me to that protest that was going to happen a couple weeks ago in Dallas.
Listen, I got sick, okay? All right, so on the topic of COVID, the World Health Organization just added a new, guys, this is never ending. This is never gonna end. A new coronavirus mutation to its variants of interest watch list. They're calling it MU, M-U. Or if you'd like to be technical, B.1.621. After it was detected in 39 countries and showed certain worrisome features. We're never.
You have to wonder if the interns who
never
write
ending.
that are the unwitting victims of a prank, and like they just don't like. There's somebody, I forget his name, but he has been just going off during this whole thing and referring to like Americans as basically cows, just like take your shots, moo. You have to wonder if they saw that and were like, call it the moo variant, just
my
see if they
gosh.
know, just something like that.
That reminds me, did you guys see this? I'm totally getting off track for a second. That video of, I think it was a school board meeting where someone totally pranked them, and it was like Simpson style. And they kept calling people who were there that was like bend over and like all these like Phil McCracken and or whatever it was.
So what I keep saying, I'm going to do to one of your reviews that you read. At
Yes, yeah. And the guy read like 5 of them and still had no idea. That's what it reminded me of. Jason, this is never ending. We've had hold on. The Alpha variant, the Delta variant, Lambda. There wasn't a Beta? No, there wasn't. The control is talking to me. Was there? I don't know.
I don't remember.
But Lambda, now Mu. We're living in the, Jason's laughing. This is real life, Jason. Why are you laughing? They're never going to let this go. You know why? The stupid sheep that John's talking about, who will never stop listening to them.
Who told you that sheep say moo? You need to get one of those wheel things, the animals say, and with all the different sounds.
Here we go.
They're gonna run out of letters for the alphabet, I think, on the variants. It almost seems pointless to track the variants. I mean, I know it's not, but I mean, we're all gonna get this. I don't.
Oh, this one is worrisome. It's like you just told us that about the last one.
Yeah.
Every single one.
That's the false sense of security that the people in the government are giving, are shoveling to everyone, including the maskers and the everyone must vaccinate people, is that you're going to kill this virus out.
Right.
That's
It's
never
not
worked
going to
with
happen.
a virus like this.
By the way, Australia finally admitted it and said their COVID zero policy was unsustainable and they can't do it anymore. Maybe we should learn from them instead of continuing to follow their lead and make the same stupid mistakes.
It's ridiculous.
This is not going to end until you guys finally decide it's done. All right?
Well, but New Zealand, they went from lockdown 0 to lockdown 4 over one case. One case.
Case too.
Yeah.
Right? Just case.
Yeah.
It's like, well, did that person end up fine? Yes. Most of the time, it's like, well, there were like 4 cases, so we needed to lock down the entire city. Absolute madness. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So if you have a sweet tooth like me, but you, as it turns out, would rather not weigh like 800 pounds from eating candy and candy bars all the time, you got to try Built Bar. Okay, I stock my pantry with Built Bar. They are healthy protein bars. They're covered in 100% chocolate. They taste like you're eating a candy bar. It tastes like you're cheating on your diet, but you're not. You're still going to stay on track, which is the most amazing part. By the way, the coconut one to me tastes like a Mounds candy bar. Mint brownie is great too. Double chocolate, cookies and cream. They've got so many awesome flavors. Get a mix box and you can try a couple of each of their regular flavors. Figure out which one you like the best and stock your pantry with that. Trust me on this one, you will thank me later. You can go to built.com, use promo code NEWS15. You will save 15% off your order only at built.com. All right, I think in just the fashion of today's headlines of just, is this real life? Oh yes, this is actually real life and we're laughing so we don't cry. San Francisco is rolling out a pilot program that will pay high-risk individuals to not shoot anyone, as gun crimes, of course, tick up in the city. So they will pay. This is like I said, a pilot program. They will pay 10 individuals who are at high risk of being on either end of a shooting $300 a month to not be involved in the crime. I mean, this is. I give up. I just give up. You know what, guys? It was a good experiment, what we did here in America, and
roll the highlight reel, the moon landing.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been something, but I give up because now we're paying people to not commit crimes. Cash for criminals.
The criminals right now are laughing their butts off because if you flip the viewpoint, in their viewpoint, they're basically telling the government, pay me my $300 a month or I'm going to start shooting people.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude. That's how it's going to snowball from there. Right. It's like, well, crap. I promise not to rob any more 7-Elevens if you pay me $300 a month.
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to start robbing 7-Elevens. San Francisco in these progressive hellholes crack me up because they just, instead of analyzing what they're doing, they double down on the bad and everything continues to get worse. It's the definition of insanity.
Well, one might think maybe we could have just not released all the criminals onto the streets last year because there was a virus.
Counterpoint, racism, so we had to.
I mean, I guess so. The executive director of one of this commission that is helping these criminals says it's not necessarily as cut and dry as folks may think. It's not as transactional, as here's a few dollars so that you don't do something bad, but it really is about how you help us improve public safety in the neighborhood.
They're so out of touch. The mentality is literally you can just throw money at people and get them to stop committing crime because they think that the only thing that causes crime is poverty. And it's if you actually live in neighborhoods that are crime ridden, people get mugged for shoes, not because they want to take them to the pawn shop and get money for groceries, but because they want the shoes.
Right,
it's it's not just that they want money, it's they want whatever it is, and that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, really, the way that you can get people to finally respect the rule of law is by rewarding them, I guess, by making them feel like the bar is about this high. And if you would just meet these very low expectations that we have for you. It reminds me of when people are crossing the border and we're letting them in, we're giving them money when they do it, we're sending them on a bus to go somewhere and start a fresh life. And it's like, how can you ever expect these people to respect the rule of law when you rewarded them for coming here and breaking the law in the first place?
Yeah, we used to have like workfare where it's like, hey, if you get up and you go to work, we'll throw you a little something extra. Now it's like, you get up, do what you want, but if you don't shoot anybody, we'll give you $300. What is that, $10 a day for every day you don't shoot somebody?
You know what pisses me off even more?
What?
The word folks. I can't. You said folks in that whole quote, and that's the only thing I've been thinking about.
Why?
Because it's the most ballless thing. It's like you're so scared of someone calling you out and like, I don't know, like generalizing a certain group or something like that. So they just say folks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. That pisses me off.
What about Latinx?
Latinx.
Well, they all say it different. They don't even know how to say it. They all say it different. Some say Latinx, some say Latinx. And
Hispanic
if you're
people
Joe Biden, you say
hate it.
Latinx.
They hate it too.
Yes,
They
I
think
know.
it's so stupid.
It sounds like a tissue or something like that. I don't know.
So my very newsy journalistic question at this point is, at which point do we finally just say California is just kind of just done? They can just kind of like, if we could just cut their little portion off and they can just float into the ocean.
You know what's crazy? If you live there, you do feel like you're in a different country because it's like an iron curtain.
Yeah.
So you like everyone. It's the ultimate hive mind experience. Everyone thinks the same way. If they don't, they're so scared of thinking differently that they pretend to think the same way.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing, and I lived there for like 15 years. It was absolutely nuts. But it's funny, they think the same thing about us. They think that we're crazy for believing in things like choice and freedom. It's kind of strange.
You want to know a conspiracy theory? And I have no evidence to suggest that this is true, but I feel it. And so I think that's enough. I trust my intuition. California in the 1930s through 1960s, like that was like the middle class paradise. You could move out there and sustain a family, beautiful scenery, everybody was happy to be there.
The weather's amazing.
And then over the course of time, it just became what it is now. Like now it's the most unstable in terms of crime and thought police and also like income inequality. Like no one's having a good time in California. And it's like they took that. That was like the place to be globally, and they took that away from us. I think to demoralize the country.
You know what's weird? You watch like Google, like go on YouTube and just do like Ronald Reagan, Johnny Carson. So he's like they're in Burbank in LA there. And he's talking about, the government shouldn't be taking money from you. They need to get out of our lives, low taxes, blah, 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 pull yourselves up from the bootstraps type of thing. And the crowd is erupting in applause.
California was a solid red state. That's the state that gave us Nixon.
Yeah.
It gave us Reagan. And now we get
what happened?
Nancy Pelosi. She's in California?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Feinstein. Yeah.
Gavin Newsom.
Isn't Maxine Waters too?
Is she? I think she is.
She's not Illinois?
I don't know. They're all kind of the same people at this point, really. So, all right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. Enough about the hellhole of California.
It's surreal.
All right, now we're on air. I have to stop talking about all of the secrets that I was just talking about. All right, this is the part of the program where I tell you guys that if you want to be on all of our good sides, you got to go to wherever you get your audio podcasts. Okay, we appreciate you watching however you're watching on Pluto, BlazeTV, YouTube, Facebook. What's up to the live chat, by the way, at the YouTube channel. But we really, really would love it if you would go, why are you laughing at me?
That was spoken like such a differently aged person. What's up, live chat on the YouTube? Hello, fellow kids. It's like...
Who keeps booking this guy on my show?
Never coming back.
I would like to know who keeps booking this guy on my show. Gosh. Okay, so here's the deal. I need you to give us 5 stars and also tell us why I should have John Doyle back ever again.
Go ahead. They love me. The audience they will.
Make your case,
They will.
please. Make your case, because as of right now, I'm just saying I don't know. Unless I hear from you, I don't know if you're ever going to find John Doyle back on this program again. You may see your review read live on air, like the one today from Bradley M. 711, who says, love, love, love the show. I listen every morning on the way to work on Pluto TV. I love your humor and already can't wait for the next show. Keep doing what you're doing. Good looking.
Hey.
All right, and then Ken Tree, who says 5 stars. Always love the guests. Love those Built Bars. I think that there are more reviews about the Built Bars than there are about me, which quite frankly hurts my ego. I'd just like for all of you guys to know that. It does hurt my ego, but I'm okay with it because I love Built Bars just as much as you guys do. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure to follow both of them. Well, follow Jason on social media. I mean, do whatever you want with John. I don't know.
Fair.
You deserve that.
I know, I deserve that.